What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about an interesting revelation surrounding Merab and his journey as a champion. Despite defending his title 3 times this year and proving himself as one of the most active and dominant fighters in the division, it turns out that at one point, the UFC actually didn't want him holding that belt. According to his coach John Wood, during a recent interview with Mike Bone, there was a time when the UFC wasn't thrilled about the idea of Merab becoming champion. Wood explained, "The UFC did not want that guy to be champion. They really didn't." He went on to say that Merab has transformed himself into an entertaining fighter, something that wasn't always the case earlier in his career. 10 fights ago, no one would have guessed that Merab would be the kind of fighter he is today, someone who can almost knock guys out or submit top contenders like Sean O'Malley while running through opponents who were supposed to be more skilled, bigger, or longer than him. Wood highlighted how Merab's evolution has been nothing short of special. He's gone from being considered a decision machine to now finishing fights and putting on performances that fans genuinely enjoy. That's a huge shift for a fighter who was once criticized for being all grind and no excitement. Today, Merab's pace, wrestling, and relentless pressure have made him one of the toughest champions to beat, and fans have started to appreciate the unique energy he brings inside the octagon. Even though the UFC may not have envisioned him as their ideal champion early on, Merab's hard work and consistent performances have forced everyone to respect what he's accomplished. He's become a symbol of persistence and grit, showing that with the right mindset, you can change not only the public's perception, but also that of the promotion itself. As of now, there's no official word from the UFC about whether Merab will fight again before the year ends. However, there's strong speculation that he might appear on the UFC 323 card, which is set to take place on December 6th. The champion has already made it clear that he plans to use his championship privilege to secure his spot on that card. With how active and driven he's been, fans can definitely expect to see him back inside the cage soon, continuing his impressive run as one of the most hard-working fighters in the sport today. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Mike Tyson recently opened up about why he never joined the UFC, and his reason makes perfect sense. During an interview with Fat Joe, Tyson took a direct shot at the UFC's pay structure, making it clear that the money in mixed martial arts just didn't come close to what he was earning as a boxer. When asked if he ever thought about competing in the UFC during his prime, Tyson responded with complete honesty, saying there was no chance he would have done it because the pay simply wasn't worth it. Tyson explained that even the top stars in the UFC couldn't compare to the kind of purses he made during his boxing career. He said, "The biggest UFC fighters combined can't match my pay. That's just it. It wasn't worth the pay. I wanted to be the biggest fighter, the biggest purse, I wanted all that stuff." That mindset perfectly sums up why Tyson stayed in boxing. He always aimed to be the best and to earn the biggest paychecks in combat sports history. And that's exactly what he did. Tyson's dominance in boxing, both inside and outside the ring, made him one of the most recognizable athletes on the planet. His ability to command massive paydays during his prime set a standard that few fighters have ever matched. Following his comments, combat sports analyst Eric McGracken responded by saying, "Well said, Mike, and that's thanks to the Ali Act. Protect the Ali Act. Expand the Ali Act. Please sign the petition." Tyson's words highlight the massive gap that still exists between boxing and MMA pay, reminding everyone just how much power and financial freedom the Ali Act provides for fighters. Moving on to another news, Daniel Cormier believes that Alex Pereira could become the UFC's greatest of all time if he manages to beat Jon Jones. While Dana White might not be entirely sold on the idea of Pereira moving up to heavyweight for a potential super fight against Jones, Cormier sees it as a defining opportunity that could change MMA history forever. During a recent video on his YouTube channel, Cormier broke down why this hypothetical matchup means so much. He explained that Pereira, now 38 years old, is likely thinking about how to make one final, massive statement in his career, a statement that would undeniably place him among the greatest fighters ever. Cormier said, "If he goes up to heavyweight and beats Jon Jones, Alex Pereira, who's already considered one of the greatest fighters of all time in one of the most expedited timelines I've ever seen, would literally cement himself above everyone else." Cormier emphasized how remarkable Pereira's rise has been. In just a few short years, he's gone from being a kickboxing legend to capturing multiple UFC titles across 2 divisions. Beating Jon Jones, a man widely regarded as the pound-for-pound greatest fighter in history, would not just elevate his legacy, it would redefine it. Jones is a former light heavyweight and heavyweight champion, and defeating someone of his stature would arguably make Pereira's achievement one of the most incredible feats in MMA history. Of course, many fans and analysts doubt whether Pereira can handle the power, size, and grappling of the heavyweight division. But others, like Laura Senko, think it's exactly the kind of challenge the sport needs. Speaking with Mike Bone, Senko shared her excitement about the possibility, saying, "For Alex, he's already doing such extraordinary things. I feel like as fans, we just want to see how far he can push the envelope. How extraordinary can he be?" She added that even though she would love to see Pereira face Carlos at some point, the idea of him moving up to heavyweight is just too intriguing to ignore. "I don't know if it should be next," she said, "but at some point I've got to see him at heavyweight. How incredible would that be for his story? To go up there and win a fight or even a title at heavyweight, that would be insane." At this point, there's been no word from Jon Jones himself about the possibility of the fight. Considering everything going on in his personal life and the uncertainty around his return, it's not surprising that he's remained quiet. Still, fans can't stop imagining what could happen if these two legends meet inside the octagon. For Alex Pereira, a victory over Jon Jones wouldn't just make him a three-division champion. It would put his name at the very top of the greatest of all-time conversation, something that even Cormier admits would be nearly impossible to argue against. Moving on to another news, Ciryl Gane talks about his mindset ahead of the Tom Aspinall fight. After coming up short in his past title fights against Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones, Gane has completely shifted his mindset and approach. This time, he's putting his entire focus into one goal, finally becoming the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. During a recent interview with the National News, Gane opened up about his preparation and mental focus leading up to this massive fight. He said, "I'm confident about this fight. I don't want to talk about what will happen after the fight. I want this belt, and I'm doing my best in camp for that." His words reflect a fighter who's laser-focused on the present moment, not letting future scenarios or outside noise distract him from the task at hand. Gane went on to emphasize what makes him dangerous inside the octagon. "Everybody knows my strength already," he said. "I can move very well, I can manage the distance very well, and my striking is high level." Known for his smooth movement and technical style, Gane has always stood out as one of the most athletic heavyweights in the division, but now he's combining that natural talent with a renewed mental toughness and sharper focus. He also explained how he's no longer paying attention to social media or what people say about him online. Instead, he's channeling his energy into the things that truly matter: his family, friends, training team, and his ultimate goal of winning gold. "I'm not focused on social media or the people outside," Gane said. "I'm focused on my family, friends, team, and my goal." This is a different mindset. Throughout his career, Gane has suffered only 2 losses, both in title fights, one against Jon Jones and the other against Francis Ngannou. In both matchups, grappling proved to be his weak point, something critics often pointed out. But this time, he's working to ensure that history doesn't repeat itself. The challenger is confident that his hard work, evolved mindset, and technical mastery will guide him toward redemption. As fight night approaches, Gane is determined to prove that he's learned from his past and is ready to finally claim the heavyweight belt. Moving on to another news, Joe Pyfer has revealed the message he sent to Dana White following his big UFC win over the weekend. After an impressive performance inside the octagon on Saturday night, Pyfer not only made a statement with his victory, but also turned heads with what happened afterward. During his post-fight interview and an exchange cage-side with Dana White, fans noticed some intense energy from Pyfer. This week, while appearing on the Ariel Helwani show, Pyfer explained exactly what went down and what was really behind his passionate outburst. According to Pyfer, his comments after the fight were directed at UFC matchmaker Mick Maynard, not at Dana White. He clarified that his frustration came from a narrative that had started circulating, one that suggested he was afraid to fight Abu Magomedov. Pyfer said that Maynard was the one who originally started that rumor after Pyfer turned down the fight due to a recent back surgery. "I didn't like the narrative that I was afraid to fight him," Pyfer said. "So after I won, I was screaming at Mick that he was wrong, that I'm not scared of anybody. It was kind of a told you so moment. I might have come across a bit heated, but it was just something I needed to say." Pyfer admitted that the situation bothered him more than he initially wanted to admit. He said he wasn't truly angry, but it did frustrate him that anyone would think he was scared. "I don't like people thinking I'm afraid of anybody," he explained. "Obviously, it bothered me a little because that's not who I am. I'll fight anyone if it makes sense." Interestingly, Pyfer revealed that Dana White had no idea about the misunderstanding between him and Maynard. Dana was like, "I thought you were reading our texts. I told him the deal and cleared everything up," Pyfer said. "At the end of the day, it's all good. I just wanted people to understand that I'm not scared of anyone in this sport." As for what's next, rumors have been swirling about a potential matchup between Pyfer and Paulo Costa. However, Pyfer made it very clear that he's not interested in that fight right now. "I'm not willing to take that fight because I think Paulo Costa is so inactive," he said. "He's got a lot going on, and I don't really think it does much for me." Instead, Pyfer expressed his desire to fight more active contenders who are still climbing the rankings. "Fighting guys like Marvin Vettori, Jared Cannonier, or Roman Dolidze makes a lot more sense for me," he said. "These guys are hungry, they're fighting consistently, and that's what I want, to keep moving forward." Whether or not Pyfer gets his wish remains to be seen, but one thing's for sure, he's made his intentions clear, both inside and outside the octagon. Moving on to another news, Dana White has been forced to cancel a fight from this weekend's UFC Rio card. The event has lost one of its most anticipated matchups, which was set to feature Johnny Walker's brother, Valter Walker, taking on Kamaru Usman's brother, Muhammad Usman. According to a report from MMA Fighting, Muhammad Usman was forced to withdraw from the bout at the very last moment, leaving Walker without an opponent right before the weigh-ins. Brazilian reporter Lair Riviana confirmed the news on social media, writing, "Important drop on the UFC Rio card. Muhammad Usman got injured and is out of the fight against Valter Walker. We still don't have information on whether the organization will manage to find a new opponent for the Brazilian." What a bummer, my friends. The sudden cancellation shocked fans and fighters alike, especially since this matchup had been generating a lot of buzz leading up to fight week. MMA journalist Adam Martin also reacted to the news, posting, "Damn, lost a fight for UFC Rio." The reaction from the MMA community was filled with disappointment, as the bout between the two brothers of well-known UFC stars had been one of the more intriguing storylines on the card. Both Valter and Muhammad were looking to make a statement, and fans were eager to see how the fight would play out. Now, with Usman injured and unable to compete, it's unclear if the UFC will be able to secure a replacement opponent for Walker on such short notice. Given that the withdrawal happened so close to the event, the chances are slim, but not impossible. However, if Walker does end up missing the card entirely, reports suggest that the UFC is expected to rebook him soon, considering the hype surrounding his recent performances. Valter Walker has been on a strong run this year, earning back-to-back submission victories that have quickly turned him into a fan favorite in Brazil. His aggressive style and finishing ability have made him one of the most exciting prospects to watch in the heavyweight division. While the cancellation is disappointing, there's little doubt that the UFC will look to get him back in the octagon as soon as possible. For now, though, fans will have to wait to see when Valter Walker will make his next appearance after this unexpected setback. Moving on to another news, tensions ran high at UFC Rio after Valter Walker went off on his opponent for pulling out of their scheduled fight. The heavyweight contender was clearly emotional when he stepped on the scale, visibly frustrated that all his hard work in training camp had gone to waste. Walker, who had spent weeks preparing for the bout, expressed his disappointment and anger over the last-minute cancellation. Speaking passionately, Walker said he had trained harder than ever for this fight and was ready for war inside the octagon. He called out his opponent for withdrawing, saying he didn't respect the decision and felt robbed of his opportunity. Walker explained that fighting on home soil was a dream for him, especially at UFC Rio, and that this fight meant everything. "This was my dream fight," he said. "I worked every day for this. I wanted to put on a show for my people, for my team, and for my country." Despite the setback, Walker remained composed and focused, showing that his determination hasn't faded. With his incredible shape and mindset, fans are already looking forward to seeing when Valter Walker will finally get his chance to step back inside the octagon. Moving on to another news, Josh Thomson recently shared his thoughts on the upcoming clash between Charles Oliveira and Mateusz Gamrot, and he believes that a lot of fans are seriously underestimating Charles heading into this fight. Many people think Charles is coming back too soon after suffering that brutal knockout loss to Ilya just a few months ago, but Thomson feels confident that the former lightweight champion still has the tools to make a major statement this weekend. He explained that stylistically, this matchup is set to be a grappling heavy war. Gamrot is known for his relentless pace and chain wrestling, constantly shooting and scrambling, while Charles is one of the most dangerous submission artists in UFC history. That combination makes this fight incredibly intriguing, especially since both fighters love to push the pace and create chaos inside the cage. Thomson went on to say that Charles is looking to make a big comeback after the Ilya loss, with hopes of working his way back to a title shot or even a BMF matchup against Max Holloway. But before that, he's got a massive challenge in front of him. Gamrot already holds a win over Arman, which gave him a lot of momentum in the lightweight division. If he manages to get past Charles too, it would be more than just another victory. It would cement him as a legitimate contender for the next title shot. Thomson also pointed out how fans seem to be writing Charles off too quickly, reminding everyone just how skilled he still is on the ground. He recalled how Arman had to defend submission after submission when they fought, struggling to escape the traps Charles set from every position. Even though Arman survived, Thomson said that shows just how dangerous Charles remains in those grappling exchanges. When comparing their skill sets, Thomson believes Charles has the clear edge in striking and submissions, while Gamrot's biggest advantage lies in his wrestling. However, he questioned whether Gamrot has the experience and composure to survive Charles's relentless pressure and submission threats. He added that Gamrot can get a little chinny at times, which could make things risky against a powerful and technical striker like Charles. Ultimately, Thomson said that if he had to lean toward one fighter, he'd pick Charles. He admitted that it might be a quick turnaround after the loss to Ilya, but he feels Charles still has everything it takes to beat a guy like Gamrot and remind everyone why he was once one of the most dominant fighters in the lightweight division.
That's it from MMA Pulse News. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.